everyone and welcome to an unboxing of Bardsung by Steamforged Games, and this is a box that is very hard to fit in frame. This was a Kickstarted game by Steamforged, an original IP from them, a roguelike-ish, D&D-ish kind of exploring game where you form your own adventure as you go. And today we're going to be taking a look at this this is a very long box, it's also very large and heavy. This is the base box, and then along with that I have the Fables box, which is just the accumulated stretch goals, daily goals and whatnot they did. And then the one other expansion I got, which was the Lost Levels, which has a bunch of Clockwork Knight kind of themed miniatures inside of it. Didn't go all in on this one. I think these are the only miniatures available for it. I think the only things I didn't go in on was like a playmat and an accompanying app and that kind of stuff. So we're going to crack into this and try and keep it in frame, and we'll see, and we'll take a look at what Bardsung is all about. So against my better judgment, I think we're going to take a look at the back of the box first to give you some idea about, what do we have here? Legend of the Ancient Forge. So we have 68 miniatures in here, 32 different enemy models, and then the demon, which will be the nice big 120mm base thing we look at, and 5 default player characters, but as I say, there is more in the stretch goals. This is going to retail, but it won't have the Kickstarter exclusive stuff. Alright, let's actually just get it open and see how well packed it is. Take the lid off. Very nice. Put that to one side for now. Inspire the songs, live your legend, become Bardsung. Oh no, this isn't another important piece of paper on information that is important that is done on paper instead of card, is it? Tile reference sheet. I don't know if that sounds important or not. I guess it shows the layouts of the tiles in the game, because they made that mistake with the Resident Evil 3 game. Your campaign tracker is a thin bit of paper easily wrecked or lost, and without it you can't play a campaign. Which is a little bit of a design flaw if you ask me. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sheets of cardboard here. This is the randomized play area along with all the various tiles you need. I'll open this and we'll take a better look. Okay, I've got the outer packaging off, and I did notice underneath Steamforged do like working with gamer trays, so we have ample storage here for presumably everything, including the expansions, I hope. For instance, there's an empty container here. It does make for a weird unboxing, though, when you have this kind of thing. Resident Evil was the same, especially if you've forgotten what you're supposed to be getting. It makes it look like you're missing components, but no, it is extended space for, actually I think these will probably be for character cards, because it's a bunch of them that are all identical. So that'll be for the player characters, but presumably it has storage space all in here for everything, including the tiles. So I'm going to crack a tile out just so we can take a look at the kind of quality. I've accidentally done 2, so we're going to look at 2 instead. So here is your average tile, and I presume it's segmented based, or this one in particular is segmented based on the water here, and they are double-sided, similar theme. Maybe that's why the tile reference is a thing that exists actually, so that you know where the individual zones are within a given chamber. I'm just looking at it off camera, and yeah, it looks like this particular shape. It is kind of like a Trivial Pursuit pie. And then the other tile I actually got out is identical, so I guess you get 2 of each. I guess because some dungeons could use the same tile sets, so you might need both rooms connected to each other. It would be like that. You have to have open door to open door, obviously. Okay, well, and then there's also, let's take a look at a long corridor. Again, I've accidentally done 2 at the same time and they're going to be identical. But there's a long corridor with a bridge. Oh, and a magma looking one. Kind of looks like a guy with his arms crossed if you look at that just right. So that's the style and quality of the tiles that make up the game. There are obviously tokens upon tokens upon tokens. I couldn't tell you offhand what most of them are for. I see some obvious stats effects, like for instance that's going to be frost. And then there's some health related ones on the bottom parts, for instance here. But we don't need to go through those individually, especially because I can't provide a lot of context. What I will do though is move these out of the way, and then we'll see if there is both storage for it and hopefully a diagram or something that tells you where everything goes, because as much as I love gamer trays to offer one box solutions for storing stuff like this, you've got to include instructions about where everything goes. Even a link to a video would do, preferably a picture, but you know, anything. Alright, let's dig deep into the gamer trays. So we have one tray of miniatures, we'll take a look at them in a second. I'm going to do this in reverse order. We have a second tray of miniatures, these are all villains. And then we have our board on the bottom, and we have this little side tray that also has miniatures, including... oh, some assembly is actually required. Didn't realise. Okay. Got a little bit of protective foam here. Yeah, the big miniature it comes with actually does have some assembly required, similar to the mega bosses for the Dark Souls miniature game. So yeah, we have these, which I think are for the, yeah, there's 5 of them, there's 5 base characters. This is storage for the characters and all their relative tokens and such. Very nice. These will be for the associated like health tokens and whatnot that are generic, I would presume, because that's what they look like to me. And we have our game board here as well. Let's lift this out. Yeah, that'll be our game board. We'll look at that. We'll look at all this, just working through. We have our rule book, which is pretty thick, and then we have our adventure book, which is like the campaign that you can run. The rulebook is 43 pages, including summary. Take a quick look here, but again, without context. Now, I have heard some complaints regarding how this is laid out, in that it does go step by step teaching you how to play. The problem is there's no collated page of like, here's all the rules together for you to easily look up what you need. If you need to double check something later, you have to go find the specific tutorial mission where the element of the game was taught. Steamforged are apparently working on like a cheat sheet, a quick reference for that exact problem. I presume it will be available for free as a PDF at some point, if indeed they are doing it, because that does seem like a massive oversight, if it's true. That's just based on some people who got the game earlier. So we have our adventure book. This is massive. That is a chunk of book. And one of the things they were kind of pushing for this game was the writing talent they brought on for this. That doesn't honestly bother me too much. It was more the roguelike-ish adventure, like dungeon crawling, that got my attention, because the writing on offer that I saw was not to a high specification, in my opinion. But there will be some people who like it, I'm sure. So we don't want to spoil too much. There's some story beats at the end there, and your adventure can play out differently depending on how you do it. So there's yet more minis down here, including a weirdly positioned miniature. Oh, I remember this. I thought this was one of the stretch goals. This is a gelatinous cube, which is a lovely looking miniature. It's got a skeleton in the top of it, but it's sitting so weird. It's like this shouldn't be here, because he's kind of slotted in like that, but he's half covered and half not. That's so strange. So I'm also noticing, I don't think this is meant to be here, is it? Like, this is just meant to be stored like this? That doesn't seem right. What is this? A big horrible worm. Very high quality sculpt, although there is a very obvious mold line down the middle there. Very nice looking, but where is it supposed to go? I think it actually fell. I think I can see where it goes. Let me just see if it slots in. Yeah, I went in there. Alright, and then we have... This looks like it belongs in Warhammer 40k. Let's see if we can get in even closer to see the detail of these larger minis. The camera will struggle for a second, but we'll get there. I promise. In a second. Any second now. There we go. So yeah, there's an idea of the quality. It is high quality. I would say their quality has improved over the past couple games they've been doing. Especially because I've been going back to the Dark Souls ones, which are fine, for the record. It's just, you can tell the difference in quality. What else have we got here? We've got a... This looks exactly like a boss in Dark Souls, actually. It's a half spider. Actually, no, it's someone riding a spider. Okay, they're not melded together like Quelaag. But again, really neat looking. It wouldn't look amiss in Age of Sigmar. Yeah, okay. And then next, we've seen you, we have not seen you. Yeah, a bit more subdued in terms of horrible monsters. Just got a couple of claw fingers. Looks a little bit like the tall things in XCOM 2 that could disguise as civilians. I'm blanking on their name right now, but it looks like them. So we do also have the big, huge miniature, who, as I say, is not fully assembled. That's him in his base. Super duper impressive, like really, really fancy looking. Good quality, very hefty, but you'll notice slots on there, and then if I open up one of these boxes off to my side, let's see here. Hey, no sellotape. Excellent. we have ourselves his wings. Now the question is he designed to be stored such that you always take his wings off to put him away? I think that might be the case, but let's see, would that be this wing? No, it must be this wing. So these go in like so. I'm not going to push them in right now, again, because I'm not sure how it stores. But all in all, creates a very impressive looking demon piece, but impractical for story. That makes sense. So I think it looks to me like you have to leave these able to come off, because otherwise you just can't store them. Which it's fine, it's understandable, because the wings are obviously a very strange shape, and he fits in very nicely in that corner over on the right there. Oh, hidden underneath the wings, incidentally, was the dice for the game. A bunch of D10s, D12s, D6s, and a D4, I think. Depending on who you're playing as, depending on what type of attack they're doing, you roll different dice for, well, first of all, I think you roll the D20 to see if you hit, and then you roll dice relevant to whatever your attack is, for instance a D6 or a D6 plus a D10, to see how much damage you've done. A little basic looking. I think one of the stretch goals or like pledge manager things was, so do you want some fancy dice? Didn't want fancy dice. That's okay. So let me just put those wings back in as best I'm able. I'm not sure which way around they were. I'll mess with that in a second. Let's look at the rest of the miniatures in the base box here, and I'll kind of then build it back up, and we'll look at other stuff I've taken out already. So let's just take off that protective thing. I think these are the wandering monsters from what I remember, which is an element where you're constantly being followed by kind of sound, and if the sound gets to you, you spawn a wandering monster that will cause you some problems. So let's start with top left. I did notice this has a chain that is coming out in a very weird angle, but we have ourselves a rampaging monkey. Looks like something out of Monster Apocalypse. Really great quality. We don't need to zoom in on that one, but... And then there's some duplications. For instance, there is 3 of these guys, which appear to be orcish archers. They look like they're out of World of Warcraft. Let's see if we can get in close for this guy as well. Just to, again, show off. I'm not going to do this for every single model, because we'll be here forever, but we can get some close-ups of some of them, just to get an idea of quality. And the quality looks good. So yeah, there's 3 of them, at least. 1, 2, 3... And we've got one running with double swords hanging out. I'm not sure if he's the same. He's kind of leaping, and they've done rocks to hold him in position. It looks a little awkward, but not too bad. Oh, and there's actually 3 of them as well, so yeah, they must be generic enemies. Then we have ourselves a very impressive looking warrior of sorts. He looks like an orcish warrior to me, judging by his face, but maybe he just looks like that. He's pointing authoritatively. Again, wouldn't look, and none of this would look amiss in Age of Sigmar or something similar. Oh, he's a drunken sorcerer, something like that. That's a fun pose. Very fancy cape. Yeah, very fancy. Then we have mushroom demons. Truly horrifying conjoined mushroom demons. I think these are one of the roaming monsters, I could be wrong. It has been a little while. They're even using a mushroom staff. I don't even want to know what part that is. Yeah, very fun looking. There is only one of them. Which way around were they? They were around that way, yeah. Fits snugly. Generic, as generic can be, monstrous spider. Of course, to be expected. Only one of them? Yeah, only one of them. 2-headed giant or troll, I would presume. He's got knives on one hand and a rock on the other. Okay. And he goes back in like that. This is more like a stereotypical giant troll or an ogre. Maybe, yeah, an ogre, I would say. More of an ogre. With a big old belly and a big club. He went back in like... No, he didn't go in like that. You just go until it fits snugly. And then you know you've found the right way. There we go. So then we have a scorpion, I think. Yeah, it's some kind of scorpion. It looks chitinous. So we've got that. One of them. And he's next to a very small person compared to everyone else. What is this? I think he might be like an orc beastmaster or something. He's standing on a corpse. He's got a whip. Or maybe he's an assassin. I could see it being an assassin because he's stabbing into the corpse with his other hand, I just realised. That warrants an up close look if it will zoom in. Perhaps, I can't quite tell. Let's actually zoom in. Give it a second. There you go. Yeah, see, he's stabbed into the body on the floor. Kinda neat. Okay. Space for him, and then finally, for the bottom layer, a big old rat. Just a big old rat. Standing on a rock with his butt in the air. And that is that. Now what we do have down here as well is ridiculous amounts of cards. Just cards upon cards upon cards. Including these. What are these? Open this end first. Oh, these are tutorial cards. They are the ones specifically for the tutorial. So that's why they're segmented separately. Until I know what everything is, I'm not too... I don't really want to have to open them. These must be the actual ones because they're large versions of the tutorial cards. But we can take a look at what is in each deck real quick. These are monster cards. There's an example of what a monster card looks like. The Reaver Captain. Move to 4 damage or 4 health, presumably. At the start of each end phase, place an additional brigand on this tile unless there are 6 brigand models already in the playing area. So he keeps on spawning help. So that's the monster cards, and again it's segmented off, so there's a slot for each of these. What are these ones? The Butcher. I guess they could be segmented by clan, maybe, or maybe some of them are roaming monsters, because he's got a few more symbols, including what he hits, what he does if he hits. Even if he misses, I think he does 1 wound, or maybe he bleeds. He sounds dangerous, the Butcher. Then we have, these are random drawn tiles to generate your map, I believe, and some other cards related to that. That looks like a map card to me, either that or Tetris. And then we have, these are weapon cards, I guess. What are these numbers on the top? I'm not sure. Cornered. Oh, event cards as well. Enemies add +2 their target number if they're the only enemy on a zone. And again, similar here as well. Lots and lots of cards. Lurking Horror, that also sounds like events. Well, question marks also implying events. Trapdoor, that's a lot of text, but thank goodness it has arrows so you know which way to read down. Top to bottom in terms of resolution. And again, another big old chunk of event type cards. I'm not going to open them immediately, especially until I look up, because there doesn't seem to... Actually, let me check the back of the rulebook real quick. Was there some information or a link or anything regarding how to use the gamer trays? It doesn't seem like it to me. Let's see, credits, nope, no, there is nothing. Nothing that I can see at a glance, anyway, but that's okay. Alright, I'm going to put that back on and we'll work our way back up to the next layer of miniatures. So as our first bit of gamer tray goes back in, oh actually no, it should be the models first, but this is the bit that had the wings, the dice. There is also an assortment of cards. I think it's gear, judging by the looks of some of them. Aquamarine. And then in the other set we have, yeah, these seem like skills and also generic items, because there's a green herb here as well. So that actually doesn't go on first, I think. I believe was it the rulebook or the miniatures? Well, I want the books on top actually because I want to read them. So let's just go straight to the miniatures and see if they fit flush or not. So the next layer was that layer, I believe. It does seem to be fitting more or less. Yep, okay. Let's get the lid off though, because we're going to have a look. Lots of generic henchmen here, so we don't have to look at all of them because they are all the same. We have 4 of these rock monsters, crystal monsters. Not sure quite how to categorize them. They look like something out of God tier actually. So we've got 4 of them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of flaming demons of some variety. Then I think there's a boss one as well, right here. Because this one's slightly different. Maybe like some kind of... I'm not sure, like it's a female singing one I think, but its tongue is hanging out, which might not pick up as great, but yeah, it looks great, it looks nice. Put that back in properly, let's find the way it fits snug, there we go. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 assorted, I think, dwarves. There's 4 of these with the sword out. And then 4 of these aiming a crossbow or pointing an axe forwards aggressively. There's 4 of them. And then 2 of these. They look more orc or goblin like to me. 3 of these aiming crossbows. And then 2 of these, no sorry, 4 of these, it's just 2 of them are turned around weird. There we go. 4 of these dual wielding swords. And then what looks like the boss one. Dual wielding axes. Trying to look very aggressive despite being so short. Alright, so that is all in that one. There's 2 spare slots here. Don't know what those are for, but they're for something. So next was the other layer of models, including the player characters in the base box. Apologies for the sound there. Let's just get this up and out. Now I'm noticing I'm not seeing anything that would shout to me, here's where you store your tiles. Only tokens, like for instance these 4 here. So I'm not sure if there's enough room. I guess there might be once the cardboard is gone. So let's look at the player characters. These are done in orange. So we have what looks like a paladin of sorts holding up her mace. Then we have a turtle who I think was a priest or a monk. I've forgotten now. But yeah, he is indeed a turtle. And then we have the thief / bandit type or rogue who is a bird. I think he's called something claw. Is he hiding his other hand? Oh no, his other hand is hiding below. He is modelled with one. And then we have generic spear wielding elf, I think, or maybe an orc. And then finally, dwarf using hammer and axe. But again, in the stretch goals for the Kickstarter, there was a bunch of extra player characters, so there are more. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 generic bandits, I would say. Goblin bandits, judging by the ears. And then 1, 2, 3 of this type. They look more kind of cutthroat to me. 2 of these heavily armoured ones. All nicely detailed. I haven't been mentioning it over and over, but they all look great to me. 2 of these chonky guys with the massive swords. This sword is slightly bent, unfortunately. Yeah, look at that, slightly bent. But it wouldn't be a Steamforged unboxing without 1 or 2 bent swords. And finally, what looks like Yoda? No, just he's probably the boss. He's hiding a knife behind his back. He's reaching out, saying, "Please give me money," and then he's going to stab you. Very fitting. So if I did want to put these other containers back immediately, I think these ones were here, so they're not quite as flush as I remembered. And then these ones would be here, and then that's it. We still need to take a look at the board, but I'm going to get the main box out of the way so we can do that. While tidying away the main box, I decided to take out all the play area tiles to see if there's enough room in here. Obviously I'm not 100% sure how to put them in, just kind of put them in haphazardly, but even in a ramshackle way like this, there is ample room. There's still room with how far up these are. You put the rulebook and the campaign book on top, play area, put the box on. There is room for that even if you do it untidily like this. Now apologies for the shaky cam, but in order to show off the play area mat or cardboard that you get in the game, I'm having to pull out a little bit here just to show how wide it is. It strikes me as if it isn't 3x3, it's got to be close. Double-sided, quite annoying to fold. There was a neoprene mat offered as a stretch goal, didn't get that. The other side of it appears to be the arena for the final big bad, I think. But this is the general play area. I don't even think it's the right way around because I'm pretty sure those card sections there have to be at the bottom here. But I wasn't sure, honestly. So it is a vast area, but that's a good enough look at it for now. And we'll move on to the 2 boxes you can sort of see up here, starting with the stretch goals in the Fable box. So here's a look at the 2 boxes. The lost levels will follow on in a moment. But for now, we have Fables, which I think I just accidentally called Fable. There's nothing on the back. And with that, let's take a look. Although you can see the player characters ads on the front here. A very wide assortment of characters. We'll put this over here. So we have an additional adventure book. I believe that's about incorporating, oh, it's also pretty thick, incorporating the characters into campaigns, and additional, oh, these are, yeah, it has narrative encounters rather than your kind of randomly generated encounters. So a curated kind of, do not read any further unless instructed to. Can't tell me what to do. These are story beats here. We're looking at 99 pages if you include a couple of pages for notes. It's songwriting notes. 97, let's say. And then we have our assortment of miniatures, including player characters and monsters. And then underneath we have their assorted cards. I'm so glad we didn't have sellotape. Never mind, that one did actually have a sticky label. The others didn't though, which I was very grateful for. So a centaur playable character here, holding a bird and a half moon sickle. One of the larger player models. And then one of the smaller, we have a little fire mage of some type, I believe, if I remember correctly. Don't remember any of their names. Then we have a kung fu lizard, i.e. a monk. It's pretty cool. A stereotypical elven archer, who's much more my speed. Again, pretty neat. We're just doing the player characters first. We have a bard. Nobody likes a bard. Okay, we have a bard. Into the trash you go. Then we have a fairly stereotypical looking human knight with a great sword. And then a larger looking man with a big axe. I'm not sure what else is going on with him. He's got skulls. Doesn't look as nice, the sculpt on the skulls there. The texture on the cape looks great. And then if I remember rightly, there was a story thing they were doing with like stretch goal updates and whatnot. And this guy can be both a villain or a playable character. Which is why he kind of looks better than the others. So we've got him. Very impressive looking shield. And a very dynamic attack pose. Pretty sweet looking, I like him. Then we have our additional monsters. So we have up here, very old looking dwarf with a big axe. And then, who is this? Very cool looking knight. These are like Dark Souls enemies. He's missing his heart. A very strange looking shield. The cape's got a couple of holes in it, but I think that's by design. Then we have 1, 2, 3. I think these are just additional. Yeah, these are additionals of the enemy types we've seen. The little goblins with the crossbows, the dwarves with the swords, the ones pointing the axes. These are just multiples so you can accommodate larger numbers of enemies. Have we seen these ones? Yeah, I think we have. We've seen these ones. I think we've seen these ones with the double axes. So yeah, that's just additionals. Have we seen you? I don't think we've seen you. I can't even tell what you are. It looks like a half-melted monster of some variety with a big old nurgly sword. So yeah, he's new. And I think this clockwork knight or whatever he is also new. He's getting ready to punch someone. And then two of the big guys who I think we did see, the ones with the bented sword. Yeah, and they're bent again. So it's the way they've been stored, I think. But two more of them as well in the initial layer. So then we can lift this out. Oop, there we go. Then we have more. Is there anything under this layer? No, this is the last layer. We'll take this off. It had a sticker on it holding it in position as well. We get a commemorative coin. It's actually fairly heavy. With the Bardsung symbol on one side and a skeleton on the other. We have our cards again. I don't want to open up the cards just yet, but it's so that you can use all these characters in your campaigns. Skull Splitter. I would assume that's his name. And that's what that's for. Lion's Claw, that's one of the attacks. Wolf Pack. And underneath that was Kobold Robes. I guess gear. But that is just a guess. Cards go back in crisscross, that's a little weird. So then we have some of the stretch goal roaming enemies. I remember this one. It's the roaming like pack of wolves. Which is not in focus. Any second now. There we go. 3 wolves on some stones. Then we have some kind of weird Komodo dragon type thing. Also just skulking along. Looks fun. A very large man with a very large bow. Actually no, that's that enemy type again, I think. Yeah, I think it's just an extra one of that enemy type. Oh, I remember him. He's kind of like an ogre shark. Hammerhead shark. Oh, he's not attached to his base properly. He is not. Did that just come loose? Yeah, it just looks like the glue came loose. That's easily fixed, obviously, but a little bit of a fault there, which is a shame because it's very excellent looking. Again, not a big deal, easy to fix, but instantly aware of the issue. We have some kind of robot dog that looks like he belongs in Metal Gear Rising. Oh, it's supposed to be clockwork, I guess. Oh, his base is very fancy. He even gets like set dressing over there. How come his base gets to be special? No one else's base is special. Got a weird lion man, I'm not sure. Cool looking sword. Horrifying Cthulhu demon. With tentacles, suckers, invisible brain beneath the skin. Guess it's like a mind flayer type thing. Oh, speaking of horrifying, this is another kind of like face hugging thing. It looks like it's that thing from Prometheus. Gross. And then another one of those charging ogre orc whatevers with the double X's. I don't think there's anything else below here, so that's just all the stretch goals that they did. So I'll get this packed away again, put the coin there because I think it belongs there, and then we'll look at the lost levels. So here's the final thing we're looking at. Does this have a back? Oh, it does. It's kind of surprising. The lost levels. So what is this? Prepare yourselves for the true story of the ancient forge and the fate of its architects. Created for use with the Bardsung core box, the Lost Levels expansion adds new and exciting adventures to your campaigns. After breaking the challenge of the upper levels and defeating the great evil, descend deeper into new locations where new enemies and challenges await. So that is just what's in here, a very thematically kind of clockwork soldier themed bunch of enemies for you to encounter and presumably a story to go along with them. Put that over there. Yep, we do indeed have an adventure book, The Lost Levels. Not as thick as the other books in the game. So we have the various levels here. Yeah, like kind of clockwork, but also kind of futuristic. We've got ourselves 39 pages, but that includes 3 pages of notes. This has probably got sticky things on the side as well. Yep, it does. It's weird the expansion stuff does, but the core box doesn't. Get that out of the way for you. Oh, that was actually sellotape that time, not even just circular tabs. Strange. Either way, it's now stuck to my finger. Perfect. Nothing underneath, so it is... Oh, actually, maybe there is something underneath. Nope, just felt a bit weird. Okay. So we have ourselves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these floating Clover Soldier. They have themed bases. Apologies, I accidentally did a cut there. I was trying to zoom in and press the wrong button. I was trying to show off that they have textured clockwork bases as well, so they got the fancy treatment. Very threatening pose, they're about to shoot. So there's a bunch of them, 2, 4, 6, 7. Then we have 1, 2, 3 of these ones who don't look as clockwork to me. Give it a second. There we go. Using dual blades. Something similar. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these, which are just like your generic clockwork soldier knight things. Give it a second to find it. There we go. Yeah, so a bunch of these look cool as well, and again have thematic bases. Then we have 2 of these slightly larger guys right here. Even larger shields. A lot of detail. Yeah, very cool. I like the shield design a lot. And then 1 massive, well, not relative to the big thing in the base box, but still, he's pretty large. 1 presumably big bad. There we go. Very cool looking, thematic clockwork street base. That's a very cool looking miniature. I like that a lot. It's very fancy looking. All the exhaust pipes and whatnot on the back of them as well. It's great. Oh, I missed one. Up here, a mage type thing. Maybe he's the one who's actually bossing him around. He's got a pretty cool looking sword. He's got a staff that looks like it's about to cut a pizza. He's got some robes on and he has extra hands, as you do. Okay, and then if we pull out a little bit, we can just take a quick look at the cards. Light Blade. So that's an attack. That's all the cards for their attacking and whatnot. And then items that you get from them presumably, because that's quartz. Yeah, and that's it. And then some injury cards at the back, I believe is what those are. So not much to show in that, but you do get a whole chunk of miniatures, and they look really nice and are very detailed. So that was a look at Bardsung, its associated stretch goals, and the Lost Levels expansion, which is the only main expansion they did for it, barring any kind of additional tacked on stuff like a companion app, 3D terrain and things like that, as they do with like the Resident Evil games as well. A lot to take in, a lot to learn. The rulebook is massive, the campaign book is massive, but at least it does come with a lot of storage. Like you can fit everything that comes in the base box inside the base box, tokens and all. The Fables stuff would have to stay in the Fable box, the Lost Level stuff would have to stay in the Lost Level box. But, all said and done, you are getting quite a lot, and this is one of their larger boxes I've ever seen them do, and I have had a lot of their projects before. So I hope that gave you an insight into Bardsung. It is going to retail, although it will be more expensive than it was at Kickstarter, because that's what Steamforged do. So do consider your options before looking into that. Thank you very much for watching, and we might see some more Bardsung in the future. I guess we'll see. Until then, ta-da for now.